us a sense of where you think things stand in your home state right now?
Well, I still think Joe Biden's going to carry Pennsylvania, George. The vote in the five-county area, which is about 40% of the vote in the state, is astounding. In Philadelphia, this is just the same-day voting. It's 254 to 36. In Delaware County, 46,000 to 7,000. In Montgomery County, 110 to 36. And the mail vote, if the mail vote splits, Democrats have voted 1.6 million. Republicans have voted only 550,000. I think Donald Trump will be down in the mail vote about 900,000 votes. So I don't think he can carry Pennsylvania, although he's doing better than most of the polls reflected.
What's your sense of how long it's going to take in your state?
Well, they're going to start counting the mail vote right after midnight. I guess they just started. And they're going to go for a few hours, and they're going to pick up in the morning. My guess is it could be done by Thursday night, but it could carry on into Friday morning.
Right. You took some time during the primaries. It took an awful long time for Pennsylvania to finish counting.
Well, that was our first experience with mail voting. We've only had absentee voting, and you have to either be disabled or out of the county to vote absentee. So this was our first experience with mail voting. We weren't well prepared. We're better prepared this time, but it's just too many, 2.4 million votes can't be counted because in Pennsylvania, the law is, unlike Florida and North Carolina, the law is that you can only count absentee votes starting at 7 o'clock on the day of the election.
We've heard some reports from the Republican side that Democrats are underperforming in Philadelphia and that they believe at least that the president is overperforming, doing quite well in western Pennsylvania in part because of that fracking issue. You seeing any danger spots for your side in Pennsylvania?
No, the Republicans made a mistake. They said that by 3 o'clock there weren't very many people voting. Well, that's because the early voting was so great in Philadelphia, and there were lines around the block twice at 7 in the morning.
Okay, so you're still confident. You believe Joe Biden will win, and you think we'll know by Friday or before?
Probably either late Thursday night or early Friday morning. And I think he'll win by about 3.5 points.
And Rendell, thanks very much. Taylor, you have some more information on this as well?
I do. So the count in Pennsylvania, as Governor Rendell just said, goes county by county, and they do anticipate not wrapping up tonight, but it could take a couple of days. On the issue of fracking, George, I spent some time in western Pennsylvania, both the last election and this one, around Beaver County, just outside of Pittsburgh, where Shell is building a gigantic plant because fracking has just transformed that whole part of the state. As you know, as anybody who's been there, know those towns which were really beaten down after the disappearance of the steel industry have lifted up. It was hard for us to broadcast from there because the trucks were rumbling by so much. You can feel the economic activity that fracking has brought to that part of Pennsylvania, and in talking to people how much it means to them. And they were genuinely concerned about what a Joe Biden administration.
So they didn't buy his denial that he would ban fracking.
They did not. I don't think they like the sense that he dipped his toe in the water at all, because it has lifted up communities that have been ground down almost into despair, and now it's a boom land right now.
Okay, John Carl, what else are you picking up right now?
Well, I'm looking at Georgia. I mean, Georgia, I think, is we're still showing a lead for Donald Trump, but looking at where the vote is still yet to come in, all those areas around Atlanta, DeKalb County, not much of the vote in at all. So I think that Georgia could get a lot more interesting.
Georgia could take some more time. North Carolina could take some more time as well. Matthew Dowd?
I think we're headed to a map that I agreed with Nate that looks a lot like a marriage between 2016 and 2018. And the early part of the evening went to the Republicans in 2018, and the latter part of the evening went to the Democrats. And one of the things, I know we keep coming back to this, is Arizona. Remember, late in 2018, it took days till we found out there was a United States senator a Democratic senator from Arizona. So I think we're in that. I think I also caution people to examine counties that are only half reported as if
I think
matters to what it was before.
That's a great point, but I just want to put one more question to you. You say basically emerging, and Nate said the same thing in 2016 and 2018. Since 2018, we've had an impeachment, a pandemic, 20 million Americans unemployed, the president getting COVID, a second surge, and nothing changes?
And that's what, I mean, George, that's exactly what it looks like. And you take a look at Donald Trump's job approval number over that entire expanse of his presidency, it's been at the same, almost exact number for 4 years.
Matt, thanks very much. We have to take another quick break. As you've just heard, it's going to be a long night, a long week. Stay with us.
Today, we're ready to share our home with the world and welcome you on board with warm smiles, kindness, and hospitality. Ready to inspire your journey. Today, we're ready to share
creeping up slowly. Right now, Joe Biden is leading 54 to 45. So, Tom Yamas, not a lot of new information coming in just yet, but a bit.
No, but a big number here, George. 4 years ago, President Trump wins Arizona by 100,000 votes. Tonight, right now, with 76% of the vote in, he's behind by 200,000. The big story is Maricopa County. This has the city of Phoenix, city of Scottsdale, 54 to 44. He's up by 10 points, overperforming from Hillary Clinton here. The biggest county. You know, Democrats thought Arizona was in play for several reasons. One of them being President Trump underperformed from Mitt Romney, but also the changing demographics. You have a lot of Californians coming in, also a growing Latino population as well. In places like Yuma County, if we see where the race stands right now, President Trump doing pretty well there. They have large agricultural families that are more conservative, so he's overperforming in that area. But when we go to Tucson, Pima County, this is the Democratic stronghold. Joe Biden exactly where he needs to be, overperforming and driving up the vote there.
And John Carlos, talk a little bit more about the importance of Arizona. The reason Arizona is so important, if Joe Biden is able to flip the state of Arizona, it's not enough for Donald Trump to win the state of Pennsylvania or win the state of Michigan. He's got to find something else.
He needs Pennsylvania or Michigan plus. He could win Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. He could win Michigan and Wisconsin, but it's not going to be
Nevada's still
enough.
hanging out there in some way.
Nevada, they count so slowly. We just have no idea what's happening in Nevada, but possibly. But really, what they were going to need is Nevada plus New Hampshire. They were targeting, and New Hampshire we've called for Joe Biden. So really, what it would mean is that he's going to have to win. That Donald Trump would have to win 2 of those 3 blue wall states.
Rahm Emanuel, the Joe Biden campaign, did they think it would be coming down? And it's not down to it yet because we still have had so much vote out there in the blue wall to the state of Arizona.
No, I mean, they went there and they thought they had a shot there because of the trend lines you could see, and you have a lot of people not from California, from Illinois, other states that have moved in there. I will say one other thing. If this flips, you've cautioned me to be more careful on it. This is the final revenge of John McCain. This is the guy that he wanted to flip on the ACA. He said he was not going to do it. And you have Cindy McCain, also Jeff Flake, the former senator. So you have and he was up 100,000. He's down 200,000 right now. I know we're not allowed to call it, but those trend lines do not look good for him. And Arizona, to be honest, was kind of trending polling-wise where North Carolina and Georgia were. And this has gone better than expected, given the spread is now 10 points, when they're talking about a 2-point race.
Chris Christie, when you talk to your sources in the White House, your allies in the White House, what are they saying first about Arizona, and what's their plan B if they lose it?
Well, they're still fighting on Arizona, and they still believe they have a chance in Arizona when all the votes are counted. But they're very optimistic about Wisconsin. And I've also spoken to Wisconsin Republican leadership who are saying, given the vote that is out in Wisconsin and the results as they stand now, they feel very confident about Wisconsin. So the approach is going to be Pennsylvania plus Wisconsin. They're also not giving up on Michigan yet. And I think one of the things we're missing tonight, I know a few people have said this around the table a bit tonight, but I want to really emphasize it. The Biden people thought they were going to have to beat 2016 Donald Trump. And what they're now realizing tonight is he has grown his base. He has found voters that didn't vote in 2016 that are now voting for him in 2020. And I will tell you, the last rally that he had in North Carolina, the campaign told me that 20% of the people at that rally did not vote in 2016 at all. And if you go to a rally and stand 5 or 6 hours and wait to see the president, you're voting for him. So I think that's the thing, the Biden campaign, if it goes against Biden, they have grown their numbers above where Hillary was, but they haven't, maybe if they lose, they haven't grown them enough to beat the 2020 Donald Trump.
Deja vu for Democrats in that?
You know, I want to reflect really quickly on what the governor said about 2016. I've been thinking about this a little bit, and I'm curious about whether the issue of race is the reason why Donald Trump is actually picking up new folks and holding folks. I would love to see any exit polling around, certain areas where there's been a lot of racial resentment, where the law and order message is playing really, really solid there, and I'm curious about whether that is the key, whether or not we lost.
Ways, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it depends. Was our message stronger? Was it better, or was his message stronger or better? Are his folks now more motivated? We've actually seen his folks be way more animated, way more out there when we think about what what we expected to happen today as it relates to polling locations, when we think about the stand by, stand back, and stand by. I'm curious about the role that race is playing and the fact that we're not seeing the type of change that we expected to see, particularly after 2018.
One of the things we've seen is that Republicans were touting before Election Day the places where they had seen increases in registration.
Yeah, I mean, look, campaigns matter. And one of the things that we might find after this is all said and done is Donald Trump never shut his campaign down. They registered, 100,000 net more in Florida, 80,000 net more in Pennsylvania, 40,000 net more in North Carolina. In these close races, that is going to make a very big difference.
To pick up on what Yvette says, and this is going to require more data, so I don't want to jump. But if you went up and pulled up Kenosha, Wisconsin today, and just pull it up versus Hillary,
Right.
and obviously, I don't want to tell the cameraman, but look at the difference: 60 versus 37 versus 47.
Again, before we don't know if they've counted the early vote yet.
I said there's a.
We're told they have not counted the mail-in vote yet.
Okay, so we don't know right up, but there's going to be a place that there's a lot of currents in this water. There's not a single current.
Well, I want to bring Lindsay
That's not
Davis.
just COVID. There's economy. There's race. There's crime. There's a lot of things we're going to have to unpack here.
I want to bring Lindsay Davis in on that because that was a big part of the dialogue in the summer, from the killing of George Floyd on Memorial Day through the summer. It seemed to fade as we got into September, and as COVID was surging. Perhaps it had some stickiness.
I think that there's a lot. I think there was a conversation that happened during the break that I think that it's worthy of discussion, in that if it does bear out that black voters haven't really turned out, I don't think we can conflate the two and say that that means that black voters are voting for Donald Trump, because I don't know many people who were really bowled over by his platinum plan. I mean, President Trump had said in that now infamous speech in Michigan in August of 2016, when he talked to black voters, he was targeting them and said, well, what else do you have to lose, in order to vote for him? And he promised, he said, look, if I win, this was 2016, he said, if I win in 2016, and if I, in 2020, I'm going to get 95% of the black vote. I promise you. At the time in 2016, I believe that he got about 8% of the black vote. Now it seems that he's polling at about 10%. I think that there's a lot of data. I would agree with Ram and Yvette that still needs to bear out, but if it ends up being that race is on the ballot, I think that it also could, as you said, could cut both ways. That you have a black woman, woman of color, running for vice president, when black women are considered to be one of the most marginalized group in society.
We will see if there is an enthusiasm gap when all the votes are counted. Have to take another quick break. Vice President Biden is going to speak, we're told, in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
because of the unprecedented early vote and the mail-in vote, that's going to take a while. We're going to have to be patient until the hard work of tallying votes is finished. And it ain't over till every vote is counted, every ballot is counted. But we're feeling good. We're feeling good about where we are. We believe one of the Nets has suggested we've already won Arizona, but we're confident about Arizona. That's a turnaround. We also just called it for Minnesota, and we're still in the game in Georgia, although that's not what we expected. And we're feeling real good about Wisconsin and Michigan. And by the way, it's going to take time to count the votes. We're going to win Pennsylvania. I'm talking to folks in Philly, Allegheny County, Scranton, and they're really encouraged by the turnout and what they see. Look, you know, we can know the results as early as tomorrow morning, but it may take a little longer. As I've said all along, it's not my place or Donald Trump's place to declare who's won this election. That's the decision of the American people. But I'm optimistic about this outcome. I want to thank every one of you who came out and voted in this election. And by the way, Chris Coons and the Democrats, congratulations here in Delaware. Hey, John, the Gov, yeah, the whole team, man. You've done a great job. I'm grateful to the poll workers, to our volunteers, our canvassers, everyone who participated in this democratic process. And I'm grateful to all of my supporters here in Delaware and all across the nation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And folks, you heard me say it before. Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house up in Scranton, he'd yell, "Joey, keep the faith." And my grandma, when she was alive, you don't know, Joey, spread it. Keep the faith, guys. We're going to win this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your patience is great. Let's walk over here.
Short message there from former Vice President Joe Biden. Joe Biden there as well in the mask. Got a smile on his face right now. Says he feels good about where they are right now, on track to win this election. In the states he thought they could win. Confident about Arizona, still in the game, he said in Georgia. Didn't mention North Carolina, but then went on to mention the big three, that blue wall, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, saying he was optimistic about the outcome. Chris Christie, he did not declare victory there by any means. He said he expected to win, knows that all the votes have to be counted. Now, it's an interesting game, though, of expectations to set. More of us were expecting to hear from President Trump tonight first, rather than Joe Biden. Is that a sign that perhaps the White House reads this the same as Joe Biden, or they just don't know?
I think they don't know, George. From what they're saying, I think they're optimistic. I think the vice president wanted to get out there and set an expectation that he thinks they're winning and are going to win. And I think what you'll see now is the president will probably do much the same thing. I don't know that. That's just speculation on my part. But I think that's what they'll probably do. I think the American people are pretty sanguine about this. They recognize at this time of the morning that they're not going to know, and they're going to have to wait. And I think if both of them take the same tone, then I think everything will be fine. That people will do that.
Ron, made a smart move right there.
Real smart. Because now he's kind of put out there, he's put the first kind of design, the architecture, and the kind of the molding has been cast. And I think waiting and not waiting for the president to move was a smart move. And also to give people some sense that this is going to take a while, but that he sees light here at the tunnel. I've been in communication with the campaign, and they do see Arizona going that way.
Lift the veil for everybody a little bit. You've looked at him, and he'll bring that down on this as well. When he comes out and does that, how much is spin, how much is what they know? Tell us what they know, what they're seeing, what they're looking at, that all of us may not know.
At about 10:30, it's a little less spin in a little more direction. At about midnight, it's a little more spin. It switches, so it depends on time. Look, he's also being clear because it is going to be, we're all going to be here for a minimum of a week, all the way through, counting all these ballots. And he is making sure that there's an energy level among his supporters, the legal teams, and also that at no point do people kind of shift off and that, this is not going to happen or whatever. You got to keep them on the prize. What is the expectation? How long